welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be working on our review. Let's begin. First, we're going to review vocabulary. So first, I want you to complete these phrases. For example, you achieve a goal, right? Now pause the video and match the rest. Then come back to check. Okay, let's see. To acquire knowledge or skills. Do you face competition in school or at work? Do you follow someone's advice? Do you have some training? Do you make progress with a project? Do you meet a deadline? Do you save or make money? You show interest in a job, and you submit a job application. Did you get the words right? Excellent. Now, what is a noun? What is a verb? And what is an adjective? Please pause the video while you match them. Okay, so a noun is a word that refers to someone or something. A verb is a word that indicates an action, usually done by the subject. And an adjective is a word used to describe something, or a noun. Great. So now that we remember this, we need to complete this chart with the words that I'm missing. For example, we have the noun creation and the adjective creative. What is the verb? That's right, the verb I'm missing is create. Now, pause the video while you complete the rest of the chart. Then come back to check. Okay, so if you notice, we have distributed and distribute. The noun is distribution. Then we have environment and the adjective is environmental. In this case, there's no verb. We have eradication, eradicated, and the verb is eradicate. We have the noun hunger and the verb hunger. But remember, this verb is not very common. The adjective is hungry. Then we should have investment, invested, and invest. Pollution, polluted, and pollute. Poverty, and the adjective is poor. Once again, here we don't have a verb. Protection, protected, protect. Starvation, starving, and starve. Un or employment, unemployed, and employ. Wealth and wealthy. Did you get this right? Great. Let's continue. Now, I want you to please pause this video while you identify what these phrases do. As you'll see on this slide, can you all see the screen, etc. Okay, so let's see. The first one, as you'll see on this slide, is referring to a slide or a handout. Can you all see the screen? It just to make sure that everyone can see or hear. I want to look at introduce the topic. I'll turn it over to introduce a speaker or a new speaker. Let's get started. You start the presentation. Let's move on. You go to a new topic. That's all I have time for to end the presentation. Okay, great. Now we're going to review conversation. So here I have some phrases. What are they doing? Are they asking someone to imagine something? Emphasizing information and making corrections? Responding to a comment with your opinion? Saying you think someone is right or someone makes a good point? Showing your attitude? Softening your opinion? Pause the video while you identify them. Then come back to check. Okay, so let's see. As a matter of fact, my sister wrote a paper on it last month. The phrase as a matter of fact is emphasizing information or even making a correction. But amazingly, I found my wallet where I had left it. The word amazingly is showing your attitude. Remember, you can use adverbs to do this. I hope so. It would be amazing if it happened. I hope so. Is responding to a comment with your opinion. I suppose it is. I had never thought about that before. Here, I'm saying that I think someone is right or that this person makes a good point. I would say that this is best work so far. When we say I would say or I would think, we are softening our opinion. What if you were in a deserted island for 3 years? When we use what if, I'm asking someone to imagine something. Great, let's continue. Now we're going to review grammar. So, remember that nouns can be divided into countable and uncountable nouns. Please read these phrases and decide if we're talking about countable or uncountable nouns. For example, these nouns can have singular and plural forms. We're talking about countable nouns. Sometimes you can use a different word to make these nouns plural. This is uncountable. These nouns have only one form. Uncountable nouns. You can use expressions such as 2 pounds of. Uncountable nouns, of course. You can use many or how many. Countable nouns. You can use much or how much. Uncountable nouns. A or N are used with these nouns. Countable nouns, right? Great, let's continue. Now, please read these sentences. Are they generalizing or specifying? Pause the video. Okay, let's see. Some employers offer free exercise classes. This is generalizing. Others give you dental insurance. Generalizing. Some let you take the kids to the office. This is specifying. Some companies have a doctor. Generalizing. My company offers some classes after work. Generalizing. His work allows him to cook at the office. Specifying. I work for a company that has a barber shop. This is generalizing. The classes I take after work are very expensive. Specifying. Now, let's continue. So, remember, for generalizing, we use no article or even the word some when we have plural or uncountable nouns to make generalizations. For example, my company offers some classes after work, or my company offers classes after work. And we use a or an with singular nouns. I work for a company that has a barber shop. Remember, here the difference is going to be if you have a vowel sound or a consonant sound. For specifying, here we use the with plural, uncountable, or singular nouns when we're referring to specific things. His work allows to cook at the office. The classes I take after work are very expensive. Let's continue. Now, pause the video while you read the sentences and identify the conditions and the imaginary results. Okay, so you should have found that all of the conditions start with if, and the imaginary results are all of the phrases that are after the comma. So, what words do the sentences have in common? Well, if you notice, all of the conditions have the word if, and all of the results have the word would. Now, let's take a look at this. So, remember that we talked about conditionals, second, third, and mixed conditionals. So, when we have the first sentence, if I were a millionaire, I would help poor people. Here, imagining a past or a present situation. That's right, I'm imagining a present situation in a past or a present result. That's right, here I am also imagining a present result. If you notice, the structure is if plus the simple past for my condition and would and the base form of my verb for my result. Take a look at the other sentences. Identify if we are imagining a past or a present situation and a past or a present result. Pause the video, please. Let's see. If I had won the lottery last year, I would have bought a house on the beach. Here, we have a past situation and a past result. Remember that when we're imagining a past situation, we use if plus past perfect, and our imaginary past result would be would, have, and the past participle of our verb. If I had studied medicine, I would be a doctor now. We are imagining a past situation, but with a present result. If plus past perfect, and then would and base verb. If I were a man, I would have studied at an old boys' school. Here we are imagining a present situation with a past result. If in simple past for my condition and would have in past participle for my result. Did you get it right? Great. Now, I need you to please identify the structures in the sentences. For example, look at this. Aya wishes we could eradicate poverty. Here, we are imagining a different situation in the present. But what structure did I use? That's right, we used wish and the simple past of our verb. Now, pause the video while you identify the rest. Okay, next says, Luis wishes everywhere hadn't gotten so polluted. Here, we are imagining the past, and we used wish and the past perfect form of our verb. Pin wishes someone would solve hunger. Here we're telling something you want someone else to do, like we're giving responsibility to someone else. We're using wish and would and then the verb. Tom hopes they will create new jobs. Here we can express things that you want in the present, past, or future. So we use hope and the verb in the present, past, or future form. Okay, let's continue. Now, I want you to please pause the video while you identify the predictions and the future conditions. Okay, let's see. So, you should have found only one future condition and the rest were predictions, right? Everyone is going to use cards in the future. Prediction. Every cell phone will have an app to pay. Prediction. There may not be a need for cash. Prediction. We might only use our phone apps to pay. Prediction. If we only use cards, kids will need one to pay for their lunch in school. A future condition. So, let's now, for future conditions, like if we only use cards, kids will need one to pay for their lunch in school, we're going to use if plus simple present for the condition, and then will or another modal plus our verb. Remember, it could be may or might as well. Great. Now, we talked about modal verbs as well. Remember that modal verbs modify the main verb. They are followed by a verb in its base form, and they have a variety of meanings. We have some modal verbs like can, could, might, must, should, etc. So let's take a look at this. I want you to please think of a modal that expresses ability. Well, you could have written can or could if you are talking about a past ability. Now, what about a modal that expresses expectation? You could have ought to or should. What modal expresses failure? Want. And what modal expresses a guess? Well, it depends on how certain you are, but you could have written could, may, might, or must. What modals express necessity? Have to, must, need to, ought to, should, and had better. What modals can express an offer? Can, could, or even will. For permission, we can use can, could, and may. For a request, can, could, and would. And for a suggestion or advice, we can use might want to or even should. Now remember that it's okay if you only wrote one modal per each of these expressions, right? Let's continue. Here we have to complete these sentences or questions by choosing the correct modal. For example, Nadal can, must, or should play tennis very well. Well, in this case, the best modal is can, because we're talking about his ability. Now, pause the video and work on the rest, please. Great. Let's continue. We're going to check that in class. We're going to practice now. Please go to your student book page 72, exercise 1A. Here, we need to complete the sentences with verbs. Which are the 5 most important pieces of advice? For example, how to get a promotion at work. First, you follow your boss's advice. And then, some training too, new skills. Pause the video while you work on all of this. Okay, we're going to check it together. Now, work on exercise 2A. Here, we need to circle the correct verb forms to complete the conversations. Let's look at the example. So, when you look back on last year, do you wish you had done anything differently? Remember that since we're talking about something in the past, we're using past perfect. Pause the video while you complete this exercise. Great, we're going to check it together in class. Now go to page 73, the exercise 3. Here, we're going to complete the blanks with the words in the box and circle the correct options to complete the sentences. Number 1. Investment in education is expensive, but it saves money eventually. Since money is general, we're not using the article there. Pause the video while you complete this. Okay? Great. And now work on exercise 4A. Here, you need to circle the best modal verbs. And then write out an appropriate response using think, guess, and hope to complete the conversation. Look at the examples. Hey Bob, can I ask you a question? Do you have a minute? I guess so. Pause the video, please. Okay, we're going to check all of this together in class. I will see you then.